ASMR Retro Forever. Hey guys, welcome back to ASMR Retro. Today I'm going to review the original Jurassic Park movie from 1993. And this is actually a request from one of my patrons at Patreon, Kevin O'Keefe. Kevin O'Keefe, thank you very much for your request. He became a Super Broski, which means he gets to request a video. And if you want to request that I review anything or do any kind of ASMR video, play a specific game, etc., check out my Patreon. You'll see the link in the description of this video, and you'll get more information over there. And you'll also see, by the way, anybody who joined my Patreon, regardless of the tier, will get exclusive content every week. So anyway, onto the video, and actually the gameplay footage you're seeing is from Jurassic Park Rampage Edition on Sega Genesis. I have no idea what I'm doing in this game. I just wanted to show something while I was talking, so I decided to play that. So forgive the bad gameplay. But yeah, once again, thank you very much, Kevin, for the request. I really appreciate it. So Jurassic Park, I'll start off with some basic information. Directed by Steven Spielberg, starring Sam Neill, Laura Dern, and of course Jeff Goldblum, among others. Jeff Goldblum's awesome, by the way. This is some classic Goldblum in this movie, so definitely check that out if you like him. And like I said, it's released in 1993, and I think it grossed over $1 bajillion gazillion dollars worldwide in the box office. But no, I think it was over 1 billion, which that might have been a record at the time, like the first movie to gross over 1 billion, but I could be wrong about that. But it made a lot of money regardless. Now, this is one of those movies that you remember where you were the first time you watched it. At least for me, I remember I was a kid, and one of my siblings rented it, and for some reason I didn't watch it with the family. I think I had to study for a test or something. But the next day, I remember watching it by myself in the daytime, and of course I loved it. I didn't have that much interest in seeing it. I just kind of went in an open slate, not really expecting anything, or like I knew it was a hit movie, but I didn't really, care that much to see it. But when I watched it, I absolutely loved it, and I remember when it was done, I remember jumping up off the couch and running around, like I was a raptor. It's kind of a silly thing to do, but I was a kid, and I just got such an energetic boost from the movie. So that's my first, impression of the movie. Was it maybe act like a raptor, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, it was awesome times. So I guess I'll start off with a plot summary, just very briefly. I'm sure everybody knows the general idea, but yeah, basically it was based off a book called Billy and the Clonosaurus. No, I'm kidding, that was some Simpsons humor there, but no, you got the old not a scientist, but old man who wants to start a theme park with featuring actual dinosaurs, and they figure out how to clone dinosaurs by using DNA in this preserved mosquito that was like super old back in the dinosaur days, preserved in amber. So they extract the DNA, but there's holes in the DNA, so they mix it with frog DNA to patch up those holes, and that comes into context later. But so they clone all these dinosaurs, and they're starting this theme park. But before it's able to open, one of the workers there dies, gets eaten by a raptor, and then I think the insurance company is unwilling to insure them unless they hire some experts to, understand more about dinosaurs or the potential dangers or blah blah blah. So then the old dude hires Grant and Ellie. They're these two dinosaur experts, but of course they don't know anything about real dinosaurs because they're all dead, or so they thought. But they dig up the bones and all that stuff. And then so they hire them, and they also hire Malcolm, who is played by Jeff Goldblum's character, and he's kind of like this hip kind of mathematician guy. Well, that's what the old guy calls him, but he said he's a chaostician or something. So I was talking seems like Ellie wants kids. So that's kind of his arc. That by the end of the movie, well, you'll see kind of what happens, I guess. So they all go to this island to get an offer they can't refuse from the old dude. And they go to the island where they're starting this theme park, and they see the dinosaurs, and like, oh my god, it's incredible. And then what happens? Oh yeah, and then also you have the actor who plays Newman on Seinfeld. He works at the park. He's one of like programmers, the main programmer there. And anyway, some rival company pays him to steal the DNA juice, the dino juice, I'll call it, that they're using to create these dinosaurs. So they give him all this money, and they want him to steal this DNA thing. So he has a plan to do that. He's gonna cut the power or something like that and steal the thing and leave or whatever. But there's also like this big major storm that's heading towards the island. And then what happens? Malcolm, that's Jeff Goldblum's character, doesn't think, this whole thing's a good idea. He's always talking about how, chaos and it's unpredictable and you can't predict dinosaurs, blah, blah, blah. And Grant and Ellie don't seem so sure either. And then the old guy, his kids are, not his kids, I think his grandkids, come there to visit. And then, so that's how Grant sort of is forced, I guess, to spend more time with the kids. Anyways, they go on this tour. Oh, and there's also a lawyer character who's like, making sure that, I'm assuming, it's hard to tell if I guess he works for the old guy, but sometimes it seems like he works for the insurance company. But anyway, so basically the lawyer is trying to get the insurance company, I believe, to, sign off on it, but he needs the results from these 3 experts, I guess. But anyways, so he's always there, kind of a funny character. But anyways, they all go on this tour, like those electronic vehicles, and then that's when all kind of breaks loose. Newman cuts the power, dinosaurs escape, some people die. Newman steals the DNA thing, but he doesn't make it. He gets encountered by these dinosaurs, and he bites the big one. And then there's lots of action now, breaks loose, blah blah blah. We don't have to go into all the details. And then there's an amazing scene with a T-Rex. I'll talk more about that later. Oh yeah, by the way, Samuel Jackson's also in it. He's another programmer. He has some classic lines in the movie. But anyways, long story short, they have to somehow turn the power back on. And they managed to do that, but not before Samuel Jackson's character dies. And one of the hunter dudes dies. We'll talk about that later too. A lot of the stuff I'll go over later. But during this whole process, Grant has to become more like heroic and protect the kids and all that stuff. So he learns to kind of, I guess, not be so against kids, I guess. I don't know. He softens up a little bit in that sense. So that was his character arc. And then what happens? The last 15 minutes of the movie is all about raptors. So that's pretty cool. You see a lot of raptor action. Quite good action, actually. But anyways, by the end of the movie, they're leaving the island, and they all kind of agree, yeah, this is probably a bad idea, including the old dude, which I didn't expect him to say. But yeah, there's generally a very simplified version of the plot. What else do I want to talk about? Yeah, so let's talk about one of the most obvious things. The visual effects are friggin' incredible. Absolutely incredible. So they used a combination of CGI, animatronics, and apparently stop motion. And I didn't know they used stop motion at all for this movie. But I was watching one of the scenes, I'm like, that kind of looks like stop motion, but it looked really, really good. Better than CG in some ways. And then I looked it up after, and yeah, it seems like they used stop motion on certain parts. The part I remember, when the 2 raptors near the end, they kind of both walk in the kitchen. There's one shot where there's 2 of them. It's kind of a close-up, and to me that looked kind of like stop motion, but it looked really cool. But yeah, the CGI, that I would say it holds up. It's kind of hard to tell. I can't tell if it's just nostalgia or what it is, but they definitely look pretty good. Not perfect, but I've seen newer movies that look kind of worse, so I don't know if it was the lighting or using some techniques where kind of obscuring the CGI-ness of it, but I think the CG work holds up very, very well, and of course the animatronics are really good too. Of the T-Rex and stuff like that is very well done, and that's kind of the best when you use, multiple techniques and blend them together. I think you get the best results that way. So it was definitely visually a sight to behold. This movie was pretty groundbreaking from that front. Definitely. The music was from John Williams, and as I was rewatching this movie a few days ago, I was like, I didn't know that John Williams did it, but I'm like, yeah, that kind of sounds like John Williams, and it was. There's even some moments that kind of sound like Indiana Jones, certain cues, audio cues. Yeah, the part where Newman is opening the thing that has the DNA in it, and there's just like a certain music cue that's straight from Indiana Jones. There's some classic themes in the movie, like the dun, 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 dun. It's hard to kind of sing a thing when you're whispering, but the main theme of the movie is so iconic. There's also the ones like I think you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, I don't know, that's probably my fault because I'm not singing it properly, but yeah, well done, very well done music. Now I'm going to talk about some moments in the movie that I remember that were awesome or funny or whatever. Actually, one thing at the beginning I wanted to say, I didn't really get it when, so this is after the worker dies, and then the lawyer shows up or whatever, and then some guy's like mining something or digging underground, and it seems like they find another mosquito in amber, which kind of confused me because the dinosaurs were already, they're already cloned, so I guess they found another one. I don't know why they would have to find another. Maybe I misunderstood what was going on in that scene, but anyways, I gotta rewatch that scene. A lot of funny Newman moments. One of them, he's meeting up with the guy from the rival company, and he calls him by his name, something like Toxin. Hard to tell what exactly he said, but and then the guy was like, "Hey, don't use my real name." And then Newman's like, "Toxin over here," and then kind of being a jerk about it. And then he meets him at like some restaurant or something, and then he gets the bill, and Newman's like, "Don't get cheap on me now, Toxin." But meanwhile, he just gave Newman like a bunch of money. It's kind of a funny Newman moment. Basically, Newman was the same Newman from Seinfeld in this movie. Something I thought was interesting when the helicopter, so they're bringing Grant and the other characters to the island, and nobody's wearing a seatbelt. And then there's one part where the elevator has to drop quickly, and then everyone's like, kind of, whoa, better put my seatbelt on. And then Grant has to sort of improvise, because both of his seatbelts don't connect or whatever, so he has to sort of tie it in a knot. And it's kind of a foreshadowing, like, safety isn't the greatest on this island, and also it's interesting Grant doesn't improvise, like he has to adapt, essentially just like dinosaurs did. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I just thought that was interesting. I also noticed that the old guy, I don't remember what his character's name was, Hammond, I guess. Yeah, he was way more, like, he was really energetic for, a guy that looked like that. Like, I expected him, and especially because he has a limp and he walks with a cane, yet he's, like, super enthusiastic about his idea of this theme park, right? So that was cool to see. I like this performance a lot in the movie. One of the great scenes is when the first time you see a dinosaur, basically this is when they get to the island, and Grant's like standing up in the Jeep, and then he sees some massive dinosaur. I don't know what it is, some kind of brontosaurus type thing, but just the hugeness of this dinosaur and how awesome it looked, and the fact that it was in this huge open field, kind of like, what do you call it, like an open field anyways, just made everything feel so big. And it was a really emotional scene. Like, I got goosebumps while I was watching that, right? Just the music and everything, it's like, whoa, it's like seeing something that no one thought they would ever see, is a living dinosaur, fantastic scene. there's many Jeff Goldblum moments, but the one where he says what I think is a classic line. He's like, life finds a way. So they're talking to the scientists, and I didn't mention that the scientists, I forgot to mention this, the scientists say that they only breed female dinosaurs so that they can't mate, so they can keep them under control. But because they use that frog DNA, certain frogs are known to change sexes in order when there's, not enough males or females, I guess, or whatever. So I guess that's what happened. So they found a way to mate, but before that, Jeff Goldblum was like, life finds a way, implying that, despite all your ways of controlling them, they're gonna find a way to mate. It's a great moment. What else? Oh, there's a scene where they're having dinner or whatever, and they'll have this sort of they're kind of debating the potential consequences of doing what they're doing, breeding these dinosaurs. It's a really good scene that happens there, and it's kind of like a sci-fi movie in that sense that they're contemplating the moral and ethical and safety concerns of bringing these creatures back to life after millions of years of not existing, bringing them into conflict with humans, basically the two dominant beings of their time. So I really enjoyed that scene a lot in terms of dialogue, and then it's interesting. It's funny because the old guy's like, this is unbelievable. I brought you here to agree with me, kind of thing. But the only one who's on my side is what did he say? Hold on, I want to make sure I get this right. Something like the only one's on my side is the blood-sucking lawyer, and the lawyer's like, thank you. I'm thinking that I wasn't sure if that some kind of compliment or an insult or whatever. I didn't really explain that the best, but trust me, it's funny. Then there's the Samuel Jackson's catchphrase, "Hold on to your butts." I always thought he meant like your actual butt, but I think he meant like cigarette butt because he's always smoking in the movie. I was never really sure. Like when I was a kid, I thought he meant butt, but I actually think he means cigarette butt now. That I'm older and I understand what a cigarette butt is. But you be the judge on that one. And then, when they go on the tour of the island in those jeeps, those electric jeeps, it's pretty eerie that they're not seeing any dinosaurs, and the storm's starting to come, and they're looking in the T-Rex cage and stuff like that. They're not seeing anything, and there's just something very eerie about it. What else? Oh yeah, then there's the scene where they see the sick, was it Triceratops or something like that, and then the what's her name, Ellie, wants to examine the poop to see what it's been eating, and then they see it, and then it's classic when Jeff Goldblum's like, that's one big pile of S word. It's just the way he said it was, just the way he walks up to it and says it's pretty funny. This great scene where so Newman is about to execute his plan and steal the thing, and before he leaves, he's like, "Oh, hey guys, I'm just gonna go grab a soda. Do you guys want anything?" He just keeps rambling in a very nervous way, and he's like all sweaty and stuff like that. It's just so well done. Great acting by Newman, because you could tell he was up to something, but I guess nobody really noticed. I don't know if it's been obvious, but another great Newman scene is when I guess he locks something on his computer or whatever, and then they try to, reboot his machine or do something, unlock something or turn the power back on his computer or whatever. There's that thing of him going, I always thought that was funny. Something I sometimes repeat to my brother sometimes, but anyway. And then the whole classic thing where the water in the cup, like when they're in the tour jeep, and then you you see the vibrations of the water in the cup. Super classic. It happens again later in a footprint, the water in the footprint of a dinosaur. And probably the best scene in the movie, one of the best scenes ever, is the T-Rex scene. What a freaking great scene that was. Just so many amazing shots. When you see the the dinosaur's eye, the T-Rex's eye in the or not in the windshield, but in the window, and then the people kind of dilates or whatever. The way it roars and the way it was pushing down on the car, and then like it was sinking in the mud, and the mud starts flowing in. It was pretty scary stuff. Very effective, and I think what made it even better was the fact that there's no music in that scene at all. It made it so much scarier. And then of course the liar runs away. And he runs into the crapper, and he gets eaten. Just a very effective scene. It was just a great scene. Like nothing super over the top happened. Everything was believable to a certain extent that it's a movie, but maybe the most over the top thing happened was when the car is falling down the tree, and then Grant and the kid are jumping down, Tim, the kid's name is, and then they get to the bottom, and then the car kind of falls on top of them, but they kind of go through the sunroof, and he's like, oh, we're back in the car, or whatever. That was maybe a little bit over the top, but still not that bad. So anyway, great scene. Just doesn't seem like they're able to. They've tried to recreate this in some of the other Jurassic Park movies. Did I say South Park before? I might have said South Park, but if I did, whatever. But they tried to recreate scenes like that in the other movies, but just not as effective for whatever reason. There's the scene where Newman dies. He's trying to get those little dinosaurs. He's like, here, take this stick, stupid. And he's like, no wonder you're extinct. I'm gonna go run you over when I get back down here with my car or whatever. And also the animatronic they used for the little dinosaurs was like really, really awesome. What else? The scene where they go to, when they're Ellie and that other guy, I call him Hunter. I don't know what his name is. He looks like a hunter dude. He has like that hat. He has an accent, and he always has that shotgun or whatever. Played by Bob Peck, which sadly I just found out when I was researching for this that he died in 1999. So not that long after the movie. So that's pretty sad. I didn't know that, but anyway, yeah, that scene where they have to go to the shed to turn back on the power, and then Ellie's like, they realize there's raptors, there's something around, and Ellie's like, we can make it if we run. And he's like, no, we can't. We're being hunted. It's just so well done. And then when the raptor, she runs for it, and he stays there. And then what happens? He realizes that one of the raptors is right beside him, so they were hunting him. They flanked him, and he's like, clever girl. And he turns the gun towards them, but then it's too late. Anyway, that clever girl line, that's a line I still repeat to myself in random situations. It's a line that always stuck with me. Let's see. I also think it's very interesting that the first raptor doesn't appear on the screen until like an hour and 45 minutes into the movie. But then the last 15 minutes, like I said, is all about the raptor scenes. And then there's a scene in the kitchen, which is very well done, where they're trying to get the kids in the kitchen. The raptors figure out how to open the door, and like I said, like a lot of those shots, it's like, wait a minute, is that an animatronic or CG or stop motion? And that's a good thing, right? That means like that they're very good job on that. What else? There's one shot where like I think the raptor was in the computer lab or whatever, and there's like a projection of code. Those look like random letters on the raptor, and I guess that was supposed to be like DNA code or whatever. That was pretty cool. And of course, like right at the end when they're about to get caught by the raptors, the big T-Rex comes in and kind of saves the day. Not that it wanted to, but it was just trying to eat the raptors, and that allowed everyone to escape. So that's kind of cool that the T-Rex was the hero. T-Rex is everybody's favorite, or most people's favorite dinosaur, I guess. The most known dinosaur, probably. One more thing I wanted to mention is that you never see a gun get fired in the movie. I think you hear the gunshots on one or two parts. But that was interesting. I think, I'd heard, I don't know if this is rumor, if it was true, but somebody else wanted to direct a movie and make it more violent, like with a lot of guns shooting and stuff like that. It might have been James Cameron, I could be wrong. And then he wanted to make it more like Aliens. But I think that would have been a mistake. I'm not against gun violence in movies, but for this type of movie, I just don't think that would have worked, because these are, humans brought them back to life, and the humans screwed up, and then they're just gonna kill them. I don't know. That would just, I think, send the wrong message. Plus, also, I think it should be more suitable for kids for this type of movie. Although it's not to say that it isn't scary. There's a lot of scary parts. But anyways, I think they got that balance right, in my opinion. So, anyways, to sum up, I think this is a great movie. I think it should be on everybody's list to watch this movie. If you haven't already, definitely go watch this movie. You owe it to yourself. Fantastic piece. And by the way, this was like the first time I think people had seen dinosaurs brought to life this way, like almost literally. So while the characters are seeing these dinosaurs in the movie, the viewers are also experiencing it, because we never seen it quite like that before. So that's what made this so powerful for the time. Nowadays, anything could be brought to life with the CG, but this was really the first time you saw something like that with dinosaurs. So definitely check this one out. I think it aged very well, and yeah, it's a masterpiece, I would say. Alright, with that being said, I want to thank Kevin O'Keefe once again for making this request. Thank you very much. I want to thank everybody for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.